Now, the last episode we spoke about basically some closure coming to a very drawn-out process, which is Brexit and the UK general election. So this only happened last week, so there's not too much to report on it. But we did see the Queen's speech, basically opening Parliament last week. And essentially some of the sort of highlights of that speech. She reiterated that her government's priority is to deliver Brexit by the 31st of January. So this obviously being top of mind again, I think it's high priority. The Queen is reiterating it, and sort of that's an important thing to see. Obviously, on the back of that, she's also said that her government needs to set up a future relationship with the EU based on a free trade agreement. And also start trade negotiations with other leading global economies. Obviously, we've seen Boris and Trump having pretty good interactions, so I'm pretty sure that's where that will start to kick off as well. Obviously, we also saw Theresa May doing a bit of a tour through the course of last year, doing some dancing in Africa. I'm not sure that those are global leading economies, but I definitely see them striking some deals there in the likes of South Africa. And those types of things. We saw the Queen touch on basically the healthcare system, and in reiterating that a new visa will be brought into the fore, which allows qualified doctors and health professionals to have fast-tracked entry into the United Kingdom. There will be a new modern, fair, points-based immigration system. Now, this is what we spoke about last week. So this is definitely something that is top of mind as well, to get basically skilled workers opportunity to come into the UK. Basically some other interesting things. So, for example, measures will be introduced to encourage flexible working. Obviously, as the workplace is modernizing throughout, I think this is quite an important one to see. Basically, net zero greenhouse gases by 2050. Also talking about a bill and basically putting into place a regulator and essentially, basically a one point of contact for this. So, what do you make of this? Is there anything here that comes as a surprise, or would you have liked to see anything more focused on?
No, I think this is all to be expected. I think we chatted about all these points, and it kind of makes sense that that's kind of the way they're going to go. I still want to see this actually happen, right? So it's still just words at this point, and we'll have to watch and keep them accountable and see what happens when it comes to the actual policy that gets put in place. But they're moving in the right direction, and as you say, it feels like a little bit more closure. I hope that's true, and I hope it doesn't go backwards in the weeks to come. Chad, I was wondering if in chatting to your UK counterparts, have you noticed any change in mood or change in feeling in London based on the result of the election, or is it kind of just business as usual?
I definitely have noticed a feeling. I think a lot of people are very disappointed. So, funny enough, in London, there's an overwhelming... if you look at the map, it's overwhelmingly voted in favour of Labour. Now, I haven't got to grips with kind of what's happened in recent times and why everyone feels this way. But it certainly is interesting because even just going into work, I can kind of, hear everyone muttering under their breath, oh, well, now that Boris is in power type of thing. It's kind of one of those. So we'll definitely have to see why that is the sentiment. But certainly I think a lot of people are happy that this is now coming to an end in terms of Brexit. At least everyone knows where they stand. It's a lot better than the kind of uncertainty that has basically masked this whole process from beginning to potential end now. We'll definitely have to see if the sentiment changes at all over time. But certainly this being one of the most packed lists of proposed legislation in recent times, and for me, that can only be a good thing. Challenging the status quo, looking at how things are done, bringing into play new legislation. The Queen even speaking about the Constitution, and looking at a potential review of that. So, from where I'm standing, I get the cynics in terms of characters like Boris and like Trump. But if we see progress, should we be questioning that, or should we just be happy with good progress?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think 2020 is going to be that earmark year where Brexit is finally, hopefully, finished, and we're going to get to see what the implications are on a real basis. Okay, it's all been theoretical up to this point, but seeing what happens if Britain finally gets out of the EU and charts this brand new course, what happens to the country, what happens to the economy, what happens to the people going in and out, and do these policy changes actually help mitigate some of the risks and some of the downsides of this Brexit? We'll have to wait and see.
let's wait and see for that. Now let's move on to our next segment.
Across the pond.